Hello everybody, and welcome to our early comics review video. I'm Jason.
I'm Andy.
And we're with infinityfluxcomics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. So every Monday after we're done bagging and boarding the numerous comics that come in, we divide them up. We read the ones that we're most looking forward to. We read all the number ones, all the ones we know people have the most questions about, and we do this spoiler light show. So we're going to tell you the major spec reasons you might want the comics, first appearances, major deaths, things like that. We're going to describe the number ones, giving you more about, who would like them, what they're really about, than what you'll read in the little bit of advertising or solicitation you might have seen. But we're not going to do a play-by-play so that you still have fun when you read these comics on your own. That was sort of what we envisioned the show to be way back when we started, maybe like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think at the time no one was doing a show like that, so it was received like, what are you guys doing? You're kind of telling us some and you're kind of not.
Yeah.
But I think now everybody gets it. I think everyone kind of likes that.
Yeah.
And good news, this is a big week.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is the stack of variants next to me could crush somebody.
Mine too. I had to put it on a slope. Oh, whoa. See what's going on here? When you read this many comics in a row. So we have a lot of good ones to talk to you guys about today, including the ones you see in front of us, and then many, many off to the side. So with that in mind, let's get started.
Yes, with Amazing Spider-Man #1. It is time to restart Spider-Man again.
A relaunch. I mean, that last series went on for 3 years-ish?
Yeah, it was a decently long run.
Yeah.
And this is interesting. So, of course, if people aren't familiar with when books do a new #1, this does not retell the origin of Spider-Man. This essentially, I don't want to say picks up where the previous series left off. That's kind of some of the mystery of this one. So the last series wrapped up pretty well. All the craziness with Nick Spencer's run and all of that.
And Ben Reilly, what was going on
Ben Reilly, yes. All of that is wrapped up. So we come into this issue, and this, I'm going to say it right here, may be a pretty polarizing issue. Now, read the letters page, because they talk about, they know what they're doing. The writers know. They're crafting a story. But this feels like one of those issues that the last few pages of it might throw some people into a tizzy. So, the setup is we come into Peter Parker's life at a very different place where his Aunt May is kind of disappointed in him. His friends feel like Peter's abandoned them. But we don't know really why. So that preview pages we saw in a lot of the books of Spider-Man, like in a crater and everything, and it's like, what did Peter Parker do?
Yeah.
Those are the first few pages of this book. And then we jump into this stuff with Peter Parker and just kind of exploring what's going on with his relationships with different people. That includes his former roommate, who is now mad at him because he hasn't been paying his part of the rent. And Peter's tried to call MJ, and she is not answering the phone. That is a big part of this issue, is what is going on between them. So this issue sets up a lot of mystery, and that's going to be one of the things that I think people are going to feel a little weird about. But this is a comic. You got to ride it out. There's stories to tell here, and you can tell by reading the letters page that they really do have a plan. This does involve a lot of stuff with, like, Tombstone, not the pizza.
Shucks.
I know. Spider-Man and Tombstone Pizza, great mashup. And a lot of kind of B-tier Spider-Man villains, but you'll have to see, Peter Parker may end up working for Tombstone in a very odd way, so you'll have to see that. Without giving too much away, though, I think this is a very interesting first issue. I do look forward to seeing where it's going with this story. It's a little bit bleaker than a lot of Spider-Man stories, but it's kind of back to that Parker luck. He can never get too happy before something happens that knocks him down. So I definitely recommend checking it out. There's even kind of a after the credits scene, after the letters page and everything. There's 2 pages that you'll have to read and see if you can figure out what's going on, because it's very wild. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in this issue. Some good action, some great dialogue, and John Romita Jr. is back doing the art for the first time in a long time on the main Amazing Spider-Man series. So I think that'll bring a lot of people here as well. So definitely check out this issue, and I say this is one you'll want to try out like 3 issues of to really see where they're going with this, because this is definitely setting up what's the current status quo, and we got to figure out what that is. So that is Amazing Spider-Man #1.
Let me guess, lots of variants.
There is more variants, I think, than I have individual comics to go over. We'll have to see. But yes, I do recommend this issue. I just think people are going to be thrown off initially reading it by like, what's going on here? But get through it, read the letters page, see what they're talking about, and I think you'll be on board for it. So we've got great variants by top tier talent. We've got the Art Germ variant.
That one is fantastic. You're starting with maybe my favorite one.
They're all, I mean, they really did get big names on these. So then we have the Bagley variant. Very classic Bagley Spider-Man.
Bagley forever. Ever since
He
his
wishes
90s
that too.
Spider-Man.
Bagley wants Bagley forever on Spider-Man as well. We've got the Bengal variant. A lot of the Spider-Verse characters on that cover. We've got a very interesting Rose Besh cover. Very different for her. But love the neon. And this is an oversized issue, so it's $5.99. But the cover stock's really nice on it. It's very firm.
That one also.
Yep. This is the Gleason.
I was going to say it's got to be Gleason.
It's the Gleason webhead variant.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We've got the Inyuk Lee. They keep coming. The hits keep rolling in. We have the Ramona Jones variant with MJ as Spider-Man. We have a Peach Momoko.
I mean, they just got everybody on this.
Ramos.
All the Marvel regulars. All the
We
Marvel
have
talent.
Scotty Young. And, of course, they wouldn't forget incentives on these. So we have a 1 in 25 Travis Charest variant that we are selling to our customers for $15. We have the 1 in 50 Jim Chung variant. I really like that one. That we are selling for $25. And lastly, we have the 1 in 100 Bagley plus Romita Sr. Hidden Gem variant that we're selling for $65. So maybe Bagley kind of finished up some Romita art.
And I'm glad we work here because about half of those I need to have, and there's so many of them.
Yes, there's so many.
That's a lot of good covers.
That's it for right now. Who knows? They may multiply as we sit here.
Well, you know, there'll be #1 second print coming
Oh,
up.
yeah. Yeah, a whole slew of variants with that.
I mean, Amazing Spider-Man, I don't know what volume this is, but a lot of the #1s
7.
from previous volumes have, you know, started where they're not worth a lot, and then in the end ended up being worth something. Okay, so speaking of other books that are on fire and continue to be, I think this one's coming back to full flame. Something is Killing the Children, #22, is out this Wednesday, and I had the pleasure to read it. So around the cover, we see the new character, Gabby. So in last issue, it was Gabby's first appearance. Her family was killed by monsters, and it turns out that she has the same power that Erica has, where she can see the monsters, meaning that she could be trained and possibly join the Order of St. George. It's not going to go down that easy, though, okay? Right at the end of the last issue, Gabby had met Erica. Well, this issue continues their meeting and talk, but it doesn't go very easily. I mean, Gabby's been through a lot. She has a lot more attitude to her than a lot of the other characters they meet who are kids. She is very distrustful, and makes nothing easy on Erica in this issue whatsoever. But past that, I gotta stop and tell you, there are 3 first appearances in this issue number 22. So after 21 had Gabby, we got 3 more. 2 of them seem pretty important. One seems particularly important. So there's a new house you get to see 2 characters from. It's called the House of Cutter. And I don't know where they're located, but it is revealed they're not in the U.S. because these characters, they talk about how one has to go to America to go basically hunt down Erica Slaughter. So they're from the House of Cutter. One of them is, it seems like the handler. He's like the one sort of telling the mission. Not like he's in charge, almost like he's relaying it. His name is Albie, and he wears a mask the whole time, so you don't get to see his face. The other seems like the hunter, and you get to see her face. You don't get to, she's not wearing a mask. They don't say her name. I couldn't believe it. I read through that part 4 times. I'm like, surely the name is here. No, she is nameless for now, but it is her first full appearance, whoever she is. And she's the one who's going to America to hunt down Erica. So I think she's the major one. So first appearance of question mark new hunter character and her handler, Albie. The third first appearance is, last issue there was Gabby's first appearance everyone was talking about, but there was also the detective. And I said it felt like he was a character, felt like he was going to stick around. He's in this quite a bit more. He does stick around. I thought it was time to have like the wider world kind of start getting involved with some of this, and I think it might be through him. Well, there's another detective. I don't know if it's his partner or not. It wasn't really established. His name is Bill. So there's another police officer who becomes a more important part of this. So all that's going on in this, and Erica's continuing her investigation to what happened at Gabby's place. And by the end of it, it looks like she might run afoul of the law and have some problems. Instead of with monsters, it might be some legal problems.
No, the worst kind.
We'll have to tune in next issue for. So a lot going on. Something is killing the children. Issue number 22. Another excellent issue with some good first appearances. They're just going to keep making this bigger and bigger. But I'm glad they're being rolled out like bit by bit.
Yeah.
It's not like every issue is like 5 new characters. It's just they're on a new arc. So check this out. We have the Jenny Frison die cut variant, and I know everyone wants to see behind the mask.
I like the idea that she really like under the mask keeps her hands like that.
Just very cool.
It's just
that's silly, but I like it. And then here is the bloody variant of it. And beyond the mask. I mean, these have just been wildly popular. They're so cool. Jenny Frison's such an incredible artist. And then
I think of that one, the bloody one, and you pull it back and she's eating pasta with like a marinara sauce. You go, oh, it's silly.
A fake out. So here is the 1 in 25 Campbell variant that is selling currently. We are selling it to our customers for $65. This one has been very hot. And I'll tell you how I know it is because the 1 in 50 Frison variant is the same price currently.
Wow.
$65 for the Virgin variant. And then there is the 1 per store bloody variant that we're selling to our customers for $75.
It's variant palooza here.
Yeah.
So many. Okay, but next up is another one that people have been really jonesing for. This is Justice League 75. What's this one about? Maybe the death of the Justice League.
You don't say.
So this is funny. So this actually has an acetate cover where you can pull it back and reveal, yes, they're still in danger. So pretty cool there. So what is this issue about? Bendis actually wrapped up his run on Justice League with the previous issue, and Joshua Williamson is stepping in to do issue 75. What is technically the last issue of Justice League for now. I mean, how can you have a book if they're all dead? So, what happens in this? I will say this is a pretty easy jumping on point. You know, you don't have to be reading any of the Justice League before this. You just got to know a little bit about the characters. This is more of an in-between issue between kind of the stuff that went on with Justice League Incarnate and all of the previous Joshua Williamson stuff that was leading up to this. Um, in this, we see the Justice League individual members get transported from wherever they are, whatever they're doing, which is it's interesting, especially some of the characters, like Superman. He's been on Warworld. Well, how is he here? You do see where he is coming from. And you've got some really funny ones, like Martian Manhunter is just like in the kitchen cooking, and you've got Green Arrow and Black Canary. You've got a lot of characters in this, but they're all getting transported because of what happened in Justice League Incarnate, where that team was facing off against this great darkness that was coming, that they were having to try to push back, and they failed in Justice League Incarnate, because in the end of that, they're like, we need the actual Justice League's help. So this is bringing the Justice League Incarnate Justice League together, along with the regular Justice League, to face off against this growing giant darkness. And you find out what that is in here, which is pretty interesting. I saw something mention it's like the first appearance of this team, but it's essentially a team made up of characters you already know, so it's not really a thing. But to the point of the title of the issue, Death of the Justice League, I don't want to spoil the title, but I will say, when you read this, it looks pretty definite that they die. That's I don't think that's a spoiler. They're kind of setting up Dark Crisis as the Justice League is dead, so what's going to happen? You get a good idea of who is left after this Death of the Justice League. And it's an interesting, we know it's some of the younger characters that are going to be having to fill in. So you do get some Jonathan Kent in here. You get some Detective Chimp in here. Who are the people still hanging out at the Justice League headquarters? So, really good issue, a lot of action, and a lot of just the Justice League, getting their butts handed to them constantly. So really cool. This is, I would almost say, is like a Dark Crisis issue 0, kind of setting you up for what's to come. Also feels a little bit like what they used to do with Free Comic Book Day, kind of a primer for what's to come. But this is I believe it's an oversized issue by a little bit. It is, let's see. Yes, it's $6.99, so yeah, I believe it's oversized to a little bit. But if you're planning on reading Dark Crisis coming up, if you're planning to read a lot of DC books coming up, I feel like they're all going to reflect this. We know there's some miniseries coming out that are going to reflect this and be like, what's Lois doing? What are all the characters who are kind of involved? It's going to reflect in a lot of books.
Yeah,
So.
when you kill off the whole Justice League, it needs to. But I will also say, I know that these characters' individual books are not ending.
Right.
So there's a lot of controversy over, they're all dead, but their books are going on. How long will this last?
Yes.
Just want to make sure everyone's aware of that.
I feel like, and DC's aware of that too. The way it's kind of crafted feels like, whatever happens with Dark Crisis, it's not going to affect the main books, but you will have to see. Read it and see what you think. But that is Justice League 75. Definitely check it out if you're planning on reading kind of the main spine of the DC storytelling coming up and leading into Free Comic Book Day. We've got some variants for this as well. We have the Todd Knock variant. Very sad and somber funeral. We have the Alex Maleev variant with Batman. Then we have the 1 in 25 DeMio variant. We're selling to our customers for $20. A kid who apparently all the Justice League are his favorite characters because he has one item for each. And then we have the 1 in 50 Harris variant that we are selling for $40 to our customers.
I think I read also Williamson was saying that this is the anniversary of Death of Superman.
Yes.
And so that's another reason that they wanted to do this storyline.
Yes, that means they're all going to come back and they're all going to have black suits and mullets. Can't wait.
Okay, so I read the final part of Trial of the Amazons. Trial of the Amazons Part 2. So, of course, this ran through many other books, but this is the final issue to that. And so here's what you should know about this. You get to finally find out who is coming through Doom's doorway. And you get to find out at least a bit about why Hippolyta was murdered. So the Trial of the Amazons, I really understand it now that I have read the whole thing. And I maybe some of you caught this or suspected it before me. But it's not really about the trial. The trial was there to bring the three tribes together. There was only two tribes even known of until, the last year with Yara Flora's tribe. So that brought them all together. And so I'll go ahead and tell you that really, the trial does not really happen. Okay? Which I wish that it's such a good idea. Now it's like, I want that. Where's the real trial? Instead, it brought the tribes together for all kinds of other stuff to happen that has a lot more to do with Doom's doorway, with Hippolyta's murder, and with them figuring out what they're going to do with these three tribes, that don't trust each other and don't necessarily like each other. And with them having to name Nubia Queen, and will they bow down to her or not? That's what this was more about, and that's what this deals with. The tribes have to come together in this last issue to fight the great evil that's coming through Doom's doorway, which you will learn exactly what it is. And they need ancient weapons to do it. And this was my favorite part, because of course, as ancient as these tribes are, they have their secrets. And so there's a secret weapon area they go to, which is really cool. You might even figure out through it maybe where Wonder Woman has been storing her invisible jet.
Oh, yeah. I always wondered where you parked that.
So I'm not saying that's 100% revealed in this issue, but there's a big hint to it.
Somebody hits their head on something and they don't know where it is.
That's kind of close. So lastly, a new Wonder Girl is officially crowned and gains a new important piece of her outfit.
Okay. Wow.
That's probably the most lasting thing that really comes out of this. Otherwise, it kind of wraps up the trial and how the tribes feel about each other and how they feel about Nubia being queen in this issue. So that's it for Trial of the Amazons, and there is this Rose Besh variant.
Very rosy Rose Besh.
Yep.
Cover.
Her namesake all across it.
Okay, my next one is not a number one, but I just wanted to talk about it early on the show because it's so much fun. This is Godzilla versus Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 2. Had a lot of people coming in to get this. You've got your Power Rangers fans, you've got your Godzilla fans, all of them come together, rooting for whoever you're going to root for in this. Because, I mean, in a lot of things, Godzilla is not necessarily the bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
In some of the
I totally agree. I see Godzilla as more a hero than a bad guy.
Yeah. He can't help how big his feet are and how tiny buildings are.
Yeah, there's a lack of understanding between him and humanity often.
So in the previous issue, you had the Rangers go to try to save Tommy, who got pulled into this other Earth that is Godzilla's version of Earth. And Rita Repulsa is going to try to use the monsters in this place to take down the Power Rangers. What I like about this series so far, it's what I liked about issue 1, it's what I like about issue 2. It does not hold back from the fights and the things you want to see. This is written by Cullen Bunn, and you can tell he's just like, why wait till the end of the series to do the big Godzilla Megazord fight? It's like, no, that happens in this. You get the Megazord versus Godzilla. It is an all-out, pretty, I don't want to say evenly matched, because the Power Rangers do not know what to expect from Godzilla. And when they're like, looks like he's powering up, it's pretty rough. But they do go toe-to-toe with him, which is really, really cool. So you've got the Megazord versus Godzilla, and you have the Green Ranger fighting Goldar at the same time. So, I mean, this is an action-packed issue. Super devastating. But don't forget that Godzilla is not the only monster on this world, and there are more monsters on their way to join this fight. But what's Power Rangers known for? They have monsters too. Rita Repulsa has her signature monsters that she's going to unleash as well. It looks like it's going to be a giant war of the monsters on this planet with all the giant things that she can create and all of the classic Godzilla characters. So just an overall really fun issue. I think this is great. I think people reading this are really enjoying it. They're gonna love issue 2 if you liked issue 1. The art is fun. It's bright. It's lively. The dialogue is great between the Power Rangers. So definitely, if you like the first one, pick this one up. If your store still has issue 1, try it out. I think you'll really like it. This is our A cover. And then we have our Diaz variant. And then we have our 1 in 10 Williams II variant as well. Super nice. So we are selling to our customers for $25.
All right, so I read Carnage #2, which comes out this Wednesday. So on the cover of this, really cool cover, you see Carnage just screaming, and there's a mouth in there that is screaming. However, that is not what's going on in this comic.
Oh.
And so, great cover, but the reason I say that is, the whole point of this series is that the Carnage symbiote is trying to live without a host. Cletus Cassidy is gone. He is trying to do his own thing for once, and there is no one in there. Unless it's a secret or a surprise. But there's not supposed to be anybody inside of Carnage. Instead, as of last issue, he is hanging out with a serial killer who calls himself the Artist. And the serial killer has been trying to catch Carnage's eyes. He wants to join with him. But Carnage isn't interested. What he's doing with this serial killer, it's hard to know. For now, he's just like using him as a soundboard. He's talking to him. He's talking about, here's how you kill people, and here's how I do it. And you try to do this transformation stuff. And why can't we be transformed by the killings too? And he's getting really thoughtful. He's getting into that dark psychological, why do we do this? And, can it elevate us? It's not an artsy way. He's got a dark plan. Since before issue 1, he has Hydra Man tied up. And in this issue, Carnage is going to do his ultimate thing that he's going to do to Hydra Man. And it's starting to look like he's going after superpowered individuals, and Carnage has figured out a way to steal their powers and add it to his own, which is pretty dire for them, let's just say. So beyond that, there's the new detective, John Shade, who was in the first issue, and I said based off his name being Shade with a Y, I guarantee he's going to be a major character, and he is. The detective has a run-in with Carnage and the Artist, and a bit of Carnage. Carnage actually doesn't just kill him. He actually says he sees something in him. He says there's something, I don't know, in common with them. I don't know what yet. We'll have to keep reading and seeing. But he kind of leaves a little of himself with the detective after a very violent altercation between them. So this detective has a lot going on now in his mind, and that's a lot of what's going on in issue #2 of Carnage. But yeah, it looks like Carnage is going after another superpowered person. That's kind of revealed at the end, and I think that's going to spill into issue #3. But he's getting more powerful, and he's getting new powers. So we got some variants here. We have the Dolato variant. We have the Kyle Hotz variant.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Hotz does a great Venom and Carnage.
I'm really glad Kyle Hotz is back to doing comic art again, as much as he has been now. And the Coella Stormbreakers variant.
Okay, next up I have a new book for the X-Men line. This is Knights of X. Had to double check, make sure it wasn't Knight or Knights. It's Knights of X. And this is a wild, wild book. So, there's this place in the X-Men universe, or in the Marvel universe, called Otherworld. And it's essentially like fantasy medieval.
Yeah, it's where Camelot would be.
It's where Camelot is. It's where Merlin and King Arthur and dragons and elves. It's a very weird idea, and you can tell the era of the X-Men where it came from. Way back with even stuff like Excalibur and everything. Use that to see how this idea has grown into like this mature modern storytelling. How something that kind of zany still works in.
Yeah, the Braddock family always has a lot to do with it.
And that is same with this one, because who is in Outworld or Otherworld, I can't want to say Outworld, Otherworld, there's been some mutants from Krakoa visiting it, and some younger ones thinking that, oh, this is going to be a fun place, only to realize it's kind of terrifying. And but something has happened, and the people in Otherworld can't get back to Krakoa. So the gate has been shut, and they're all stuck there. Now, that is part of the mystery of this series. The other is something is going on, and Betsy Braddock kind of explains that King Arthur kind of has a hit out on all of mutant kind, but to them they are called the witch breed. And why is that? It's because his son, who even in classical lore and stories, his son Mordred is destined to kill him. But in this version, Mordred has the X gene. So even though he's supposedly dead in this, which actually happened in that Black Knight series, I believe the Ebony Blade.
Yeah, Curse of the Ebony Blade.
Curse of the Ebony Blade. He's still, King Arthur, working with Merlin, is kind of pulling a striker and hunting down all of the keep forgetting it, the witch breed in this world. So what are they going to do about it? Betsy Braddock, even though they can't open a portal to go back and forth through Krakoa, she finds a way, with the help of someone else, that she can go for a very short amount of time and recruit kind of her Knights of the Round Table.
That's the part I was waiting to hear about.
She can recruit or take back 10 people to help her on a quest. She doesn't even really know what the quest is. It's kind of one of these magical, like, you'll learn it as you go. You must set out on this thing to save your land. And that is where she recruits 10 of her ex-friends from Krakoa. I won't tell you who all of them are, because I think that's kind of the fun of it. And I think a lot of them do appear on the covers. But you have people like Gambit. You have Shatterstar. It's like anyone who's like, do you use like a traditional weapon? Okay, that'll work over here. You use 2 swords that have also 2 blades on them. You work. Gambit uses the bow staff. And when they go over there, of course, they get like their costume changes to their kind of high fantasy versions. But it's really cool. You see that even one mutant is talking to what looks like Captain Britain, and he's explaining everything, and she's like, that's all great, but you're looking for Betsy Braddock, and then you realize that she is ruling this kingdom of a bunch of people who are wearing armor that looks like her and everything. So this is pretty like X-Men high fantasy. So if that sounds like your speed, I definitely think this is for you. If you like your X-Men mixed with Arthurian legend, check this one out. Knights of X. And of course, it's an X-Men #1. We've got some variants for it. So we have the Lopez variant. We have the, love this one, the Scotty Young variant. Little Shatterstar on there. We have the, what they're calling the promo variants. And then we have our 1 in 10 Muller design variant. They've been doing these for all the #1s. We're selling for $10 to our customers. And we have the 1 in 25 Rice variant, which does feel like a little bit homaging that Days of Future Past cover with Wolverine, with the sign behind them and all of that. So, and we are
You're
selling.
right. I think you're right.
I think that's kind of what they're hinting at, and we are selling that to our customers for $20. Even King Arthur has his own version of Sentinels that you'll have to check out, which is pretty crazy.
Okay, the day has come.
Uh-oh.
The long-awaited day has come. The Last Ronin #5 releases this Wednesday. This is the final issue.
The last Ronin.
The last issue of Last Ronin. This series, 2 years in the making?
Yes.
2 years in the releasing,
Mm-hmm.
I should say. It actually was, I think, 10 years they had been planning this thing. So I know everyone has waited and waited and waited. It is finally out this Wednesday, and I read the ending. It is sad to see this series end, and I will also flip those words around to say it also has a very sad ending.
Oh.
It is an appropriate ending. It is a well-earned, well-deserved ending, but it's sad. If you read it and you're a Turtles fan, you're gonna feel the wetness in the eyes. So in this issue, Michelangelo, he finally has to muster up the courage to go up against Hiroto using all the weapons of his fallen comrades. His pupil, Casey Marie Jones, daughter of Casey Jones, he will not take her. It's too much. It's too dangerous. So she tries to help in her own way on the sidelines, and she does help. She does something that actually really, really helps. Mm-hmm. But Michelangelo, he is up against enormous amounts of forces, and when you see what Hiroto can do, what his armor can do, I mean, he's like a near unstoppable force. But Michelangelo, he has a lot of feeling based on what he's been through, and he goes through all of it in this battle. Some really great battle scenes, some really great dialogue, and just a whole lot of heart makes this just a wonderful TMNT book. I know it was a wait. It was such a wait, but a great ending to the series. I think everyone's gonna love it and be satisfied. Plus, there is an epilogue that does offer some extra hope that ends it with a bit of a smile. So
a baby turtle hatching from an egg.
So great last issue to Last Ronin #5.
Now, does Eastman do any art in this one?
He does some of the art.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Good. I just like his art that he's been sprinkling through these. It's been
Correct.
really great.
And then, speaking of Eastman, there is the 1 in 10 Eastman variant we're selling to our customers for $30. So don't walk, run to your store to get the end of this.
What are
epic.
You? What are you? Turtle?
Turtles.
You slowly going to the store? No.
That's right.
I was trying to think of what it's like. Oh, you're a tortoise?
You're working on a good pitch here.
I'm working on it. Next Ninja Turtles race issue. Okay, so next up, I have Batman Beyond the White Knight #2. It's funny because I've actually read #3. I read #3 before I read #2, so my head's a little backwards with what's going on and everything.
It is true. Sometimes, so they give us advanced copies, and sometimes they won't give us a #2, but then they will give us a #3.
Yeah. It's very odd, so I kind of had to get all those pieces straight in my head. But this is a really great issue. We saw in the previous issue where Terry McGinnis stole the kind of the most powerful bat suit from the long abandoned Batcave because Bruce Wayne is in jail. Everyone knows he's Batman, but now he's getting out. He's breaking out because he wants to stop this guy running around in this bat suit. It's too dangerous. There shouldn't be any Batman, according to him. So that's kind of where we picked this one up. We do see why Terry McGinnis was stealing this suit. It does have to do with Derek Powers, who is the new kind of owner of the Wayne industry. And definitely up to no good with that. Other interesting stuff in this is we learned the truth about that final page in the previous issue about a certain someone. Are they truly back? What happened there? We get more clarification on that. And there is a scene, and Sean Murphy actually spoiled it. He tweeted the page, but he's like, I want everyone to see this, so you need to go out and buy this. But I still don't want to spoil it here for people who avoid stuff like that. But a very big thing happens with Harley Quinn where you learn what a big role that she's playing in the White Knight universe at this point. Sean Murphy has really set her up as like one of the main characters, one of the couple like lead characters in this White Knight universe, and you'll see another reason why in this it's a final page thing. I kind of wish I hadn't seen the spoiler for it, but when I got to it, I was like, oh yeah. So
I haven't seen it. So
okay, yeah, you'll have to see it then. So this is a really great issue, another great installment, Batman Return of the White Knight, or Beyond the White Knight. We also have this really nice Sean Murphy variant for that as well, with Terry McGinnis slipping off, putting on his suit.
Okay, I read Detective Comics issue 1059.
Whoa.
So on this cover, you see Batman. He is in a crowd of people, just sort of a sea of people. He looks like he is frantically doing something, looking around, doing his Batman detective work. But some of them are in green, and the green people form a question mark. I think you know what that means. That's right. The Riddler is back. And as you see on this cover, Batman doesn't know who's working for him, or who the Riddler might even have compromised, or who might be working for the Riddler without knowing it. That's the thing with the Riddler that makes him a good villain, is he's smart enough that he can have people doing things for him that they don't even know they're being manipulated. So I think this is a very clever cover based on where the plot line goes. So in it, the issue is in a way narrated by Riddler, because he has started a pirate radio station in Gotham. I just love that idea. So he's doing a pirate radio station. He's asking riddles. He's saying all kinds of weird stuff, and I guess playing whatever music he wants. They don't really go into what Riddler listens to on the radio. However, at the same time, there are some strange murders that happen. Okay, 3 very heinous murders happen, and the people who committed them get caught. They're just regular people. They admit to doing it, yet they have no criminal past, and they refuse to explain why they do it. So 3 separate incidents, 3 separate people. So this issue sets that all up. Batman is on the case. He's trying to figure it out, but obviously there's no solution yet. There's not even a link to the Riddler yet, except the cover. He's doing the pirate radio station. So surely they link together, but maybe not. Too early to say. So that's sort of the premise for Detective Comics 1059. I think, after the Batman movie and how much everybody loved the Riddler and that, I think Tamaki was like, hey, this villain's not been around too much lately. Let's do a good Riddler story. Yeah. I'm really happy about that. As much as I love the Joker, you gotta let that gun cool off.
Yeah.
And I think Riddler has always been one of the best Batman villains, especially because Batman is so smart.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on, Detective Comics 1059. If you love your Riddler, start picking it up. And here is the Lee Bermejo variant to that. Riddler tipping his hat. He almost looks like bronze the way that
he does,
did the cover.
Let us know in the comments what bands would the Riddler play on his pirate radio station. It would have to be a band like The Who or the Guess Who. It has to be a question. It has to be a riddle.
They might be giants. Okay, so this is the 1 in 25 Migliari variant we're selling to our customers for $20.
That looks like Gotham Girl.
Yes, in fact, I forgot to mention it. Gotham Girl has a backup story, so they have backup stories. They just started one with her, and that was a pretty good first one, but it's building up.
Yeah. That's a character we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, probably one of my favorite books of the week, but you can't blame me. This is Star Wars Crimson Reign, number 4. This is the issue I think a lot of people who've been reading this series have been looking forward to. This is the Knights of Ren going in for a heist in Vader's castle. So, of course, this is... Kira puts them up to this. Apparently, there is something in Vader's castle that she doesn't give him too much details about. She tells him what it is. I won't reveal that because that's also part of the fun. But it's kind of a crazy mission. Like, who's going to come out of that alive? So they're going in to break into Vader's castle. But I think a very interesting part about this is this is very reminiscent of Charles Soule's Darth Vader series, which, I mean, you can't get higher praise than that. It's one of the best series in recent years.
I totally agree.
Because Charles Soule does a great job of, like, raising questions about characters and motivations and all of that, where you know these characters, but then you start to question, are they really who they say they are? So that's, I think, one of the best parts of this is also knowing Charles Soule has the authority in the Star Wars universe to ask those questions and potentially answer them. A lot of questions are raised about Ren, the leader of the Knights of Ren, about who he really is. Does he have ties to anything else? Kira raises a very interesting question that I read it, then I texted one of my friends who also is a Star Wars nut and was like, has anyone ever asked this question before? So super cool. And then it ends where something's really going to go down in next issue, because you come knocking on Vader's door. Not just the housekeeper's going to answer. Maybe the man of the house is going to answer. So that's my best analogy, if you can figure out what I meant by that. Great issue, just knocking out of the park, Charles Soule. This is potentially, probably, definitely my favorite issue of Crimson Reign so far. And I can't wait to see more with him writing these characters. So that is our A cover. We have our Anadito connecting variant. Connects to all the ones before that. We have our Raza Knights of Ren. And it's funny, you get a little bit more character out of the other knights in this. You kind of see some of their personality come out. And it has one of those classic, one of them only speaks in dashes. It's like, oh, it's some language you don't understand, but everyone's like, you have a filthy mouth and stuff. One of those classic, classic things. Then we have the Clayton Crane variant as well.
It's like, I've never heard that insult before, but it's the best one yet.
And then the writer doesn't actually have to write it.
Right.
We also have a 1 in 25 Lopez Sabak variant for $30.
I was telling Ian and Amelia in the back room, they were pricing that one. I was like, I used to know how to play Sabak, playing Knights of the Old Republic, raising that money. It's been so many years.
You gotta afford all that good armor and the ship upgrades.
I can't remember it all. I'm sure it was easy to learn.
It's just 21.
So I read Thor issue number 24, or better stated, Thor issue number 750. If you're looking at legacy numbering, which means all the Thors that they've done all together. So of course this is an extra size issue. It's like triple size. You've got some really cool stories in this one. So the main thing is, Odin just died recently. And so this issue has his funeral. So that's kind of where things start. But after that, we have a bunch of guest writers jumping in with their stories. I think my favorite one, Walt Simonson did a Beta Ray Bill story in this. And it's an origin story for Beta Ray Bill. Sort of like, what were you doing long before you were in space and became worthy and everything? Mm-hmm. That story is really good. I really like the Beta Ray Bill story. There's also Dan Jurgens does a Thor versus Mangog story. Al Ewan tells a Loki in the multiverse story where there's also female Loki in it. And there's a minor surprise at the end that it's going to lead into a Defenders comic called Defenders Beyond. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if it's a one-shot or an ongoing. It's probably a mini-series or a one-shot. But yeah, that's leading into it, that Loki, or female Loki, is going to be in. Then, of course, Donny Cates has his story where, this is not even a spoiler because this was in the last issue, if you ask me. But it's revealed that Odin is now within Mjolnir. Mm-hmm. To me, the thing that comes out of this is, why is he there? Mm-hmm. What's going on with Valhalla where his spirit isn't there celebrating, his life and getting his rest? Well, that seems like it's going to have to do with the upcoming story arcs. That's a big deal. That's the last part. But also there's a story by J. Michael Straczynski. There's a Jason Aaron story.
Wow.
I mean, just packed issue. So, and of course, many variants I'm about to show you. So, here is the Malieve variant. We told you this was a big week.
Yeah.
Here is the Shalvey variant. The Shalvey Spider-Man variant, if you can't tell. Here is the Daniel Warren Johnson. He always has such just excitement in the way he draws everything. This is the Stephanie Hans. That, of course, is Odin's funeral. But I'll tell you, they definitely do the Viking or the Norse setting on fire.
Yeah.
But it's not on water. It's much more extreme and cool. Here is the Azrair variant. Here is the Fairy variant.
Hits keep coming.
Yep. Then we have some incentives. This is the 1 in 25 Jurgens variant we're selling to our customers for $40. For those of you who can't get enough of the Mjolnir Lightning. Then we have Junie Ba did this 1 in 50 variant that we are selling for $130. Really awesome looking. Oh, and that's it. I didn't think it was going to end.
Hard stop. Okay, so, man, after that, I've got a comic that just has the one cover. What do you do with that? Actually, kind of skipped over this. I got my books out of order, but I want to talk about what was one of my favorite reads, the issue 1 that came out, that is Ghost Cage. This is Ghost Cage number 2. So, just briefly, as if you read the first one, you know, there's this tower, and with uncontrollable forms of power that have taken manifest, and it's up to this little form of power to stop them. It's a very complicated if you did not read the first one. But in the first one, we got like hydropower. We got some really cool stuff. In this one, we get like fossil fuel and wind-powered kind of kaiju anime villain monster things that are really, really cool. Once again, this book is just so beautiful. Black and white art. Very reminiscent of a manga. If you're a fan of that, you'll definitely want to check this one out. Nick Dragotta is just knocking out of the park. I know we sold out of issue number 1 because of, I don't want to say just because of my review, but I hand sold it to a lot of people, so definitely pick it up if you didn't. And there's only 1 issue left. This is only a 3-issue series. They're oversized issues, but still very digestible to only get 3 issues, so very cool.
Okay, so one of my favorite reads this week, easily, is We Have Demons number 2. This is by Scott Snyder with art by Greg Capullo. So in our first issue of We Have Demons, we had our main character who learns that her father, who just recently died, who was a very religious man, was actually a demon-fighting warrior, and that she needs to find her faith to kind of take up the mantle and join with his former partner, who you see on the cover there, who is a monster. He's not exactly a demon. We get some of his origin in this one, and all he reveals is that he's not a demon, but he's certainly not just a regular
I just
human.
like that idea. Are you a demon? Nope. I'm not going to tell you what I am, but I'm not that.
I'm not a demon. I have another word for it. But she needs to find her faith to be able to properly wield her mother's weapon and join this whole group of demon fighters. And the problem in this world is the demons can look like humans. So it's really hard to know, and you have to have that faith to get your weapon to do the right thing to be able to fight and kill them. So this is another jam-packed great issue. When I reviewed the first one, I gave it just a stellar review. I said it felt like I read 3 comics, but there was so much in it. It's the same thing here. Scott Snyder, he is not holding back. His writing is on point. There is so much detail in this. So many good lines, good dialogue, good thoughts from the characters. Because last time our main character sort of narrated it. This time, the demon guy, the partner there, Gus, he more narrates it. Also, some incredible art by Greg Capullo, who has been drawing Spawn demons for ages now, and he's just tapping right into that, having a great time in this. There's a part where they're trying to get the girl, they're testing her, like the new team, and so they inject the demon into an armadillo. So he becomes an armadillo demon, and they fight. I mean, it's great. There's another scene where they're all on a plane headed towards a mission, and there's another plane in front of them full of their people. Well, turns out that those people have been compromised, and so the plane, the door on the back of the plane opens, and all these demons just jump out midair and attack their plane, and they get in a big battle over the ocean. It's great, but it's not all fighting. It's a lot of actual dialogue and plot as well, and a lot of explanation as to how has this been going on, how do these weapons work. Just hats off to it. Excellent issue. I really hope this finds an audience. This was a lot better than I think people were expecting.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope people are reading this one. I thought it was really, really good. I don't think I missed anything. No, I think that was everything I wanted to say about it. I could go on. I mean, I could just review this comic for, a good half hour.
Well, because it's like 3 comics.
It is. So here's the variants. We got the Manipul variant. And then we have the Eigel variant. And then there's a Capullo variant of the main cover that is foil. Shiny. That's it.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
No big incentives for that.
No.
Okay, so next up we have Gunslinger Spawn. This is Gunslinger Spawn number 7. Hard to believe we're already up to issue 7. All my books look very monochromatic from right here. Super cool cover on that one. So, what is important about this issue, other than Gunslinger Spawn, I think is some of the best Spawn stuff coming out right now, which is something to say because there's a lot of Spawn stuff coming out right now. But in this one, the Gunslinger Spawn is hitchhiking, which I kind of like in this world. It's like, these people look crazy, and they're just like, okay, sure, just hang out with people, do whatever. No one really questions why you've got a big duster and bandolier and all that.
And a giant knife under your hat.
A giant knife under your hat. That before you take a hitchhiker, check under their hat. Could be a giant knife. But what's really cool is Gunslinger Spawn is going somewhere. You have to check it out. Somewhere he's hid some stuff. Where he is confronted with a character calling himself Carnivore. This is the first appearance of Carnivore, who is a werewolf. Really cool. I mean, just, you get to see a throwdown between Gunslinger Spawn and a werewolf. If that was all this book was, it would be sold for me. But there's a lot going on in this book. Really cool that they're setting up kind of his own rogues gallery of villains that are kind of reminiscent of kind of Old West type things. It feels very classic Spawn. Just the way that it's a little less dealing with like these giant ideas of heaven and hell and them pulling at different things. It's like just a guy fighting monsters, which is really fun. And I hope this character shows up again because I think Carnivore is set up to be a really cool one. But really fun issue of Gunslinger Spawn number 7.
A werewolf named Carnivore sounds like a McFarlane toy.
Oh,
in
yeah.
the making.
Yeah, it's like you design the toy first and then you fill in the story afterwards. We have the Keen variant. And we have... They're doing sketch variants for all the Spawn books. So here is your Gunslinger Spawn sketch.
Okay, so I read Harley Quinn issue number 14. So check out that cover. Harley Quinn has a lot of tattoos, and there's some shadows across her that look like bars. That's because last issue she was arrested, and she ends up in Blackgate because somebody has been dressing up like her and killing villains. It is the new anti-hero villain, The Verdict. So in this issue, Harley is in prison. She doesn't have all these tattoos. I mean, maybe she does. Who knows? Maybe they weren't permanent. They were henna or something. But we do get to see what Harley does in prison during this time. So the verdict is as I said, an anti-hero or villain who's been dressing up like Harley, killing people, and her trademark thing is she scoops their eyes out. She leaves them eyeless, which is pretty gruesome. Harley has taken the fall for this, but in this issue, Batwoman starts looking into the fact that these murders have continued, and so Batwoman is smart enough. I don't know why the detectives aren't to go. The murders are continuing, and Harley's in prison. It might not be Harley. So Batwoman pays a little visit to Harley in prison to talk to her about this. Before that happens, though, Harley is in Blackgate. Punchline was just there. Punchline's been released. Okay, so the two kind of miss each other, but all these people kind of harass Harley about it. They're all like, "Oh, so Punchline beat you up before and slit your throat, and you're a wimp." So you get to see how she handles this. I don't know why anybody would want to antagonize Harley Quinn. No. But it's pretty amusing. On top of that, does Batwoman believe her? Does her friend Kevin believe her? I mean, there's video footage. It looks like her doing this sort of thing. It does look like next issue there might be a Harley Batwoman team up, though. That might be cool. So here is the obligatory Derek Chu incentive variant for Harley Quinn, issue number 14.
Okay, next up, I have Punisher issue 2. Yeah, so this whole new ride of the Punisher is going on. He is now working for the Hand, but not necessarily working for the Hand. He got recruited and put over the Hand.
Yeah.
So, what did they do in the previous issue? Why would Punisher join the Hand? It's because they offered him his wife back. Not life back, his wife back. Which basically is what made Punisher Punisher. And they said, here she is. If you'll work for us, you can have her back. And so some of this is what's going on with her. I mean, she's still got the scars, the scars of bullet holes in her. And she doesn't seem to necessarily remember 100% of what happened. And we're not sure if Frank Castle knows either how she's back, but he's just enjoying it. So he's training the Hand in this, and he's training himself. They kind of wonder, why aren't you, you've already mastered all this stuff. Why are you doing it? And he's basically like, I've still got to make myself better. He's training with a sword now. So a big part of it is his relationship with the Hand and with the kind of elder of the Hand, who I won't give anything away, but we see that she's actually been involved in Frank Castle's life from way before he became the Punisher. So we do get flashbacks to when he was a kid and what kind of kid he was. It explains a little bit of the cover for the next one, why there's a little kid Punisher with a Captain America mask on sitting in a big throne. You'll have to read it to find out, but it turns out he was a pretty messed up kid too. So it's a very interesting Punisher story. It is very dark, and it gets very weird at the end. I will say that. So if you're used to your just normal street level crime Punisher, this goes a bit beyond that. And we'll see, after the storyline if they kind of rein it back down. But Punisher may have some more abilities in this than he previously had. So very interesting. I mean, I'm in for the ride. Jason Aaron writes a great Punisher, and he's got a story to tell. Let's see where it goes. So this is Punisher issue 2. We have this Aspinall variant as well.
Okay, so I read Silk number 4, and the cover tells you a lot of what's going on. So there is an ancient Korean witch who is taking people's youth for reasons unknown, and last issue, Cindy Moon was the latest victim. So in this issue, she's basically Old Lady Silk. And we get to see her just have to cope with the fact that, she's just not a little old. She's, way old. To the point that, low-level villains can beat her easily by just knocking her over. kids start to annoy her because, they're like running around and doing things she can't even do anymore. So this issue is not meant to be wholly funny. It is funny. There's also a lot of story here. Because what happens when that same Korean witch shows up somewhere and she knows where the witch is, but, she's now really, really old. Well, she's going to enlist the help of another old, cranky Marvel character. That's right. In this issue, it's the beginning of the team up of Cindy Moon, Silk, and J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh my gosh!
Yes,
they could just yell at people.
Yep. They're starting to team up in this issue, and it's not over. It's continuing into the next issue. Need I say more? So that is what's up with Silk number 4. Here is the Bengal variant. And we have a really cool Ji-Hung Lee variant.
Okay, next up, we've got Saga issue 58. My notes for this basically say, don't try explaining it because it would be pointless. But if you're a fan of Saga, we got some great development in this, especially the last page. It's a kind of horrifying version of your Saga greatest hits. You'll have to see. It's also fun watching Hazel learn to play guitar and learn to play songs. Just charming and crazy and everything you expect from Saga. So you'll definitely want to pick up this issue this coming Wednesday.
Okay, so who likes vampire books? Because a new one is out called Bloodstained Teeth. This is by Christian Ward with art by Patrick Reynolds. So in this vampire world, every vampire book has its mythology. How does it work? How does it go?
You got to set the rules for your vampire.
So the quick rules on this is that there are 2 types of vampires. There's one that they're the ones that are born, okay? And then there are the ones that are created. And the born ones are allowed to turn people into vampires, and they're sort of the rich and powerful vampires. The ones that are created, they call SIPs, S-I-P-S. Like take a sip of blood, I guess. Anyway, these created ones, they're actually forbidden. You're not supposed to make them unless you have express right to do so. And it's because the SIPs are known as sort of vicious killers. They can't contain themselves very well. They kill too much. All right, so the main character of this, at least thus far, is a character named Atticus Sloan. He is a born vampire, and he will, for enough money, he'll give you immortality, meaning he'll turn you into a vampire. So he's doing what he's not supposed to be doing. He's taking money and turning people into SIPs so they can have immortality. And of course, people are taking him up on this. Well, this goes against vampire culture very badly, and so some heavy hitters come after him. And it looks like he's going to be tasked with having to kill all of the vampires he's created for God knows how long. That looks like the setup of what's going on in Bloodstained Teeth. There's more to it than that, but it looks like that's where this book is going, just so you have an idea if you want to get on board or not. It has a very vibrant art style, lots of bright fluorescence and pastels up against the typical dark tones you would see in a vampire book. So it's like the darkness with these brighter colors. So real vibrant. So we got 2 variants. We have the Reynolds variant. And we have this nearly blank variant. If you look in the bottom corner, there's a little bit of blood splatter down there.
Okay, next up we have the final issue. No, it is not the final issue of Joker. This was, we always thought it was going to be 14 issues, but surprise, there is going to be a 15th issue of Joker, because this leaves on a cliffhanger. This does wrap up our Punchline story, but there's 1 issue left where we truly find out about Gordon's mission to eliminate Joker. And we do get a Bane versus Vengeance fight in this, something we've been waiting for, as well as Batman does finally show up, and you'll have to see how that goes down. when the Joker's involved, he's not too far away. So, issue 14 of Joker, don't take it off your pull list just yet. There's one issue left coming up. Got some variants for this. We have the Alan Qua variant. And we have the Ortega and Sanchez variant. Punchline. And then we have one incentive for this. This is the 1 in 25 Stoko variant that we are selling to our customers for $20.
Okay, so I read Deathstroke Inc. number 8. So typically Andy reviews Deathstroke, but this is part of Shadow War. And since I'm reading Batman and Robin, it made more sense for me to go ahead and do all the Shadow War stuff. So this is part 3 of Shadow War. And I'm going to go ahead and warn you, part 4 is out this week too. It's Robin number 13. So you want to read this one first. You want to read Deathstroke Inc. first before you read the new Robin. So in this, look at the cover. You got Deathstroke and Respawn on it, hanging out together as they have been. And in this issue, Deathstroke reveals he has another base of operations, of course, that he's going to hide out in with Respawn as he tries to figure out who has framed him for the murder of Ra's al Ghul. And so we get a lot of Deathstroke also teaching and bonding with Respawn in only the way that sort of a villain anti-hero like Deathstroke would. You know, they do dark, funny, useful training together. You know, like if Deathstroke, you know, it's like if you think it's cool that he can use a sword to cut somebody's head off, well, it turns out it was also poisoned and makes their body explode. You know, he's just got so many tricks that he's showing Respawn. So all that bonding is really cool. Meanwhile, there is some with Batman and Talia. They just had a moment last issue, and we get to see where that moment plays out. And we get a lot more of the new villain Angel Breaker, who is the main assassin hired by Talia, who has a history with Ghostmaker. So this Angel Breaker character is in this issue quite a bit. Lastly, one of my favorite parts has to do with somebody spilling the beans to Batman about where Damian Wayne had been for a while. You know, they mention a tournament, a tournament to the death, and Batman's just like, what now? That's pretty interesting and funny too. So this is continued in Robin number 13. You know, guess who found out where Deathstroke is? Maybe you'll hear from me moments later about that when I get to Robin 13. So that's Deathstroke Inc. number 8. Check out this awesome variant. This is the Burnham variant, which of course is an homage to Deathstroke number 1 from his original ongoing series. And as Andy pointed out on Comics from the Future, they wrote out incorporated fully.
Yes. If you thought it had to do with something else, nope, that is incorporated.
And I forgot, we have a 1 in 25 cruise connecting variant we're selling to our customers for $25.
Okay, next up I've got Teen Titans Academy number 14. Teen Titans Academy number 14. So we have one issue left of Teen Titans Academy. And this is kind of graduation day. So a lot happens in this issue, but I'll just briefly mention some of the big points. There was something that happened in Future State Teen Titans that involved Cyborg and Beast Boy that is brought back into play in this. So, like we always mention with Future State stuff, did it happen, didn't it happen? Well, at least in this, it looks like it is heading towards that direction, which is very interesting. Also, Chupacabra, one of the students, Chupacabra, has a surprise uncle in this that is a nice homage to a actual real life person. There's so much stuff I don't want to give away because it's actually pretty cool when you see it. That has to do with him being an artist. So that's really big. And at the end, I was trying to do some research to find out, but there is a character that appears that either is someone new taking on the powers of an existing character we know, or this character has changed somehow. That is also it's another thing I'll tease. There's a lot of teasing for this issue, but getting close to the end of it, so a lot of stuff is going on in Teen Titans Academy 14, and that is the that's the A cover, and then we have the B cover by Dan Schoening with Red Arrow on there.
Okay, so from Aftershock Comics comes Naughty List #1. Now, indie comic companies, they can do a lot of stories that Marvel and DC aren't going to do or they'll pass on. Marvel and DC generally just want to do superhero tales. This story is about this character here. Now, you might not know it by looking at him, but this is Santa Claus. This is Saint Nick. It is not the guy that Coca-Cola made you think was a big jolly guy. He's kind of mad about it. This guy, you get an origin story for Santa Claus that starts way long ago with just a guy who made a wish on a star, you see kind of there in the bottom center, and wanted to help kids. But this wish, it engulfs him too. It happens and engulfs him. And so year after year, he's building toys. He's now immortal. He outlives his family. And he gets very bitter. Not about like delivering the toys, but he gets very bitter because he has no more say in this, and he can't grow old and die. So you get an origin story. Now, what else is this about? Well, it's modern times, and somebody has stolen his naughty list and starts killing off the people on it. Now, he actually wouldn't really care. He wouldn't care that much, except that innocents are getting hurt too. In killing some of these naughty people, some innocent people are just getting hurt as well. And so Santa has decided he's had enough. He's going to find out who's doing this, and he's going after him. There's stuff on him having elves and how that works, where that came from. There's stuff on his reindeer. There's stuff on his sled. It's a whole retelling of the Santa Claus mythos without going too far from the core of it. So that's Naughty List in a nutshell. You know, that's one of those comics you see on the shelf. What's it about? That's what our show is all about, is telling you, here's what it is, here's what it's like.
Especially this time of year. Very odd.
Maybe it'll end at Christmas.
Oh.
And just the one cover.
Okay, my final book this week is Hulk Grand Design Madness. So, we had our first part a few weeks ago that is Jim Rugg's retelling of the entire history of the Hulk, starting from issue 1, and the previous issue ended in issue 300. This picks up issue 301, and we go all the way up until the Planet Hulk, World War Hulk stuff. So this covers a lot of ground. We get some of the coolest stuff. What I love about this is kind of the collage mixed with comic, mixed with kind of splash pages kind of art we get. So we get the classic McFarlane years, you know, the cover with Wolverine's claws. We get that shown in here. The Mr. Fix-It Hulk era is covered. Infinity Gauntlet. Just a ton of... it's kind of one of those, you turn the page and go, oh yeah, that one's awesome. I love that look. Or... you know, all the Hulk stories you may have forgotten about are touched upon either in a page or a couple of panels, but it's still really cool to see. And how the art style, even though it's the same artist, will, you know, get more or less lines depending on what artist he's kind of homaging in those scenes. So if you picked up the first one, you'll definitely want to get this one to round off your history of the Hulk. This is our A cover. And then right here, we have our Jeff Darrow variant cover with a very detailed tank.
All right, somehow I ended up with more books than you this week. There's so many, who knows how. So, okay, I read Robin issue 13. This, of course, is the 4th part of Shadow War. Please read Deathstroke Inc. 8 before this one. So in this, it is... Robin and Ravager go up against Deathstroke and Respawn in battle. You have more Angel Breaker, who does proved that she is willing to kill anyone who is an ally to Deathstroke. She proves it in this one, so yes, there's a death. And then Batman, he shows up. There's a father-son reunion between him and Damian, and he might even let Damian drive the Batmobile, finally.
Wow.
For the first time officially. I think Damian's stolen it
He's
before.
stolen it before, for sure.
Yeah. So, a really good issue of Robin 13. Excellent fourth part to Shadow War. That's kind of what's going on in this issue. Now, there's a variant by Crystal Kung, but we are sold out of that right now. So, leading into my next one, which is Berserker issue number 8. This is a story light issue because they're showing what Plan B is, which is science and a huge explosion where B was first created. And this sends B kind of hurtling through time. It sends him into the quantum realm, but it also links him with his doctor, Diana. She is now linked in a certain way. So it's a lot told in the art. It's a lot of going back in time, back in time, back in time, back in time, because they're trying. He's going back to sort of when he was created. I think we'll see that next issue. But it's a lot of art where there's no narration and there's no dialogue on top of this because he's going back through time, and they wanted to show all that. However, we do get to see a little bit more behind the scenes of what the military's up to, and some of their secrets behind why they're working with B. So that's what's going on generally in Berserker number 8. We have some variants here. We have the Campbell variant. Can't wait to see Keanu Reeves doing this part when the show happens. There's the foil version of the Campbell variant. Shiny Keanu. And then this is the Garbett foil variant. And, of course, there is the 1 in 25 of that Garbett that we are selling to our customers for $25. I'm sorry, $20. I read that wrong. $20, $5 off. And then there's the 1 in 50 Heron variant.
Oh, nice.
For $40. And the 1 in 100 Campbell Virgin variant that we're selling for $95. And the 1 in 150 Heron Virgin variant for $120. Finally, the last one I'm going to tell you about, it is a new indie book called Vermillion from Behemoth Studios. This is actually the variant for it. The A cover is a little too spicy to put on our YouTube channel, so you'll have to look for that one yourself. But this new book, Vermillion, it is by the artist. All the Behemoth books are done by the artist, does the writing too.
Yeah.
It's single person books. The writer artist name is Brao, B-R-A-O. I'm not too familiar with his stuff. Very talented, however. This is a one-shot issue. It is based on, and this is by his own words afterwards, it's based on 2 Slipknot songs called Vermillion Part 1 and Vermillion Part 2. So this is, it's black and white, penciled and inked really nicely, very highly detailed, realistic art, where we follow this sort of attractive party girl. She goes out in the town to drink, do drugs, and party with this unknown character who speaks in a red word balloon. It's almost like she's talking to us.
Yeah.
Okay? And this red character, you'll see little bits of this red character. They go out, they party, they go back to her place. But this leads her and this person in red to sort of a dark and terrible end of the night that reads more like song lyrics than a story that would require interpretation. Like the end, I'm like, okay, this is like very interpretive and just dark and weird and messed up. I will warn you, this is adult. This is lots of nudity, and it has some violence, light violence of somewhat of a sexual nature. So I don't think it's for everyone. I don't even think it's for most people, but some of you out there are going to like it. You're going to want to know what it's about, and that is our job on this show.
Yes.
So that is it.
That's all? Man.
Yes. I think we went over, if I'm not mistaken, I think we went over 29 comics this week. Yeah.
Wow.
So thank you for joining us. I hope we have done our job in telling you about these books so you know what you want, what you don't want. what's important, what sounds good. It's tough when you go in a store and there's 29 new books, not counting all their variants.
Yeah.
So thank you for watching us. Thanks for everybody who subscribes to our channel. If you enjoy this video, haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscription button. That way it'll let you know when we do our future shows. And that's it. Time to go get some water.
Yeah. Ugh.
So thanks for watching again, and we will see you next time.